edition of Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village. This show features nonprofit organizations designated as 501c3 by the IRS because they provide a public benefit. In a lot of instances, your donations are tax deductible. Nonprofit Village is the proud partner of Montgomery Community Media on this show. Together, we highlight the dynamic nonprofit programs and services in Montgomery County. MCM, remember, is your public resource that provides access to information relevant to our community. Today's guest is JaLynn Prince, the founder, president, and chairman of Madison House Autism Foundation. The foundation works to ensure adults with autism find inclusive and diverse opportunities to participate and contribute. I've known and volunteered with her for 20 years, and JaLynn, I want to thank you for being with us today.
It is my pleasure to be with you. Always makes me happy.
Good to see you. So let's get started. When you founded Madison House, you really wanted to address the lifespan challenges facing adults with autism. Can you start by telling us a little bit more about what these unique issues are that need attention?
Yes, and very briefly, we found that children were getting a lot of attention and that things happening in schools were getting a lot of attention. But when somebody graduated from high school, then a lot of services ceased and parents were bewildered because all of a sudden they have somebody at home. They may or may not be going on to a university, depending on the individual. And there was a huge need and a lot of people that were getting older because there was kind of a tsunami with the diagnosis of autism. And so now there had been a lot of people reaching adulthood. And we have nearly 5 million people right now in the country that are adults. And we were one of the first organizations in the country to start looking at lifespan issues. And we were here in Montgomery County. We've been working nationally with housing issues and working with national policy and doing things downtown where it becomes relevant to what our population is. Not that we're a lobbying group by any stretch. And
that's a good point about the 5 million, because I was going to ask you, how do we know how many adults really are living with autism? So that's a tremendous number of people, and you've been doing this work for many years, but officially for about 13 years.
Yes. And the thing about that number of people, by the time you put 2 parents and maybe 2 siblings, maybe toss in an aunt, uncle, or grandparent, that's a lot of people. That's 25 to 30 million people that are impacted by autism. In a very real way. And then we all have neighbors and so forth. Right. And we discovered that there weren't as many opportunities for continuing education, that sometimes some of the demands that you could deal with a little easier when someone was much younger and much smaller become different issues when somebody becomes an adult and stronger and with their own way of wanting to deal with the world. And sometimes that's appropriate, sometimes it's not appropriate when you're engaging in community. So we set out to do a number of things and working with initially with education, with physicians, with policy. And then as we had been around for about 6 years, we had something really interesting happen. We got a call about a piece of property that was being offered to a friend of ours in Las Vegas who happened to be an autism organization and wanted to have us check out this farm and some property in Buckystown. And we checked it out for them, and his board of directors said, "What are you thinking? You're in Las Vegas? No, we're not going to do this. Our board is here, that is there." And so the gentleman heard about us, and we were literally in his backyard. I met him briefly, and he offered us the farm, wanted to do some research on it. As I was leaving the country, he said, "Either you want it or you don't want it." And I said, "It sounded like a great idea." Notice I didn't say yes or no.
Right.
And I came back and we were in his will. And 3 weeks later, he passed away.
Wow.
And so we had a very interesting way of coming into this farm.
Okay.
But there were so many.
And this is the farm that's located in Gaithersburg.
In Dickerson.
Yeah, Dickerson, yes. Okay.
And we have an on-the-ground presence here in Montgomery County, and we are working with adults with job training, our job readiness, and health and wellness, and making certain that the community is engaged with our people on property. So it's a large project, and it's fascinating, and
it's a model. It really is a model. I really enjoy talking to organizations that have this holistic model. Before we go to break, I want to ask you a quick question about this whole issue of ensuring outreach to the most diverse audience that you can, because 5 million adults is a lot of adults.
Yes.
To make this equitable for as many adults as possible. How do you deal with that?
Well, it is a challenge, and it's an ongoing challenge that we are trying to meet. And I really do appreciate some of the things that are in conversation right now, and especially over this last couple of weeks, because it calls us all to be more aware of how we work on something, because sometimes you tend to work on something and it's successful and you stay with that group. We are trying to always expand and to make it very, very inclusive.
Right. Yeah, well, and you engage a number of volunteers, which we're going to talk about on the other side of the break, a number of volunteers, people that, need to get engaged in the community, have an easy way to access you because you do have this community, and it's a physical community. It's not kind of out in the ether. But, I'm going to want to talk to you a little bit more about how Madison House really transforms the community through this model program. Particularly, what we want to know more about is Madison Fields. So when we get to the other side of the break, we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's time to take a pause. When we come back, we're going to find out more about Madison House, Madison Fields, the work they're doing to transform the community. You're watching Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media.
The odds of becoming a successful NASCAR driver, 1 in 125 billion. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 88. I'm Jamie McMurray. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3, your information center for Montgomery County's premier nonprofit organizations. I'm Kim Jones, and with me today is JaLynn Prince, founder, president, and board chair of Madison House for Autism. JaLynn, welcome back. Your team and partners at Madison House have developed these model programs, as we discussed earlier, and that's the only way I can describe them, as a model for success. But I really want you to focus in right now on one particular thing, Madison Fields, and tell us exactly what that is and what the opportunities are there.
Madison Fields happens to be a 400-acre farm just outside of Poolsville in Dickerson, Maryland. It is a secluded, beautiful area that came with a huge riding stable that is designed for disabilities, which brought us into health and wellness. We knew that we wanted to work on job readiness and helping a population that is basically 80% or underemployed to be able to be ready to join the workforce of whatever level. And there's a lot of things you can learn on the farm that can actually translate to offices. And it can be showing up on time, knowing how to work with people, getting your projects ready, executing those projects, knowing when to take breaks, all sorts of things. And so we've got things with the equine program, therapeutic riding. Last year, we added soapery. And so we have some job readiness programs with making goat's milk soap.
Wow.
We happen to have a small herd of goats.
Right.
And
but it also teaches entrepreneurism, and that's important too, because workforce development isn't just about somebody posting something and then somebody else responding to that post. It's about creating opportunities. And isn't that really what you're doing with everything in this program, is creating opportunities for independence?
Yes, and so people can look at things so they can maybe design their own path forward. Maybe part of our population would find it good to actually have their own businesses. We know a young fellow who happens to be in Arizona who started making biscotti. And now he does biscotti in his home, and he has people working for him, and they sell the biscotti. So maybe there are things that people need to look at with being micro-industries of different types, and maybe we can give an exposure to that. And that we have the opportunity for people to participate with people in the community, with volunteers from around the community. And then we have social events out there too. We had we've had concerts, we have all sorts of different types of things where mixed audiences can come and enjoy something that they have in common.
Well, tell us if somebody wants to get engaged as a volunteer, what are some of the activities that they can help with when they come on board with Madison House?
Good. There's a couple of things. I will mention quickly that we are also opening the farm up so we can work with those with COVID, or those that had been first responders. And we see the health and healing that we've been experiencing for other populations, that we are going to make an opportunity for these folks to come out as well. And some of the opportunities that are there for volunteering, we've got a vegetable garden where we want things to go to food deserts. We've got the care and keeping of our horses. We have got grounds training that people can learn different types of things. We've got trails that need to be cleared. We've got forests. We've got so many things, and we love to have corporations or individuals come out. We've got sidewalkers for therapeutic writing. We've got people that can help us with the soap making, and there's so many other opportunities there. They can come to our Facebook or the website of Madison Fields. And you could get to it through Madison House Autism Foundation, but Madison Fields would be the easiest. And we have a wonderful set of volunteers, and they are welcome. And people that do volunteer find that their lives are changed, as well as them helping to change and improve the lives of others. So it's wonderful to see win-win situations like this.
That's fantastic. What about donations? I assume you take donations, and that's available on your website through a donate button.
Yes, it is. And Autism Awareness Month was part of COVID this year. And so the fundraising opportunities have been limited. We've tried to do some ingenious things, but yes, we do need the help so we can help others, help alleviate pain and angst in families, help aging parents that are working with their adults.
Adult children, right. And I think that's important to remind, because you said that right at the very beginning, that sometimes when you age out of the school system, then the family has to find ways to work with you independently. You may still be living with family members, but there has to be some other level of independence. And your programs all seem to point to how that can happen and empowering the entire family.
Yes, because it affects the whole community. And if we can come together with situations like we are offering to the community, we can help save dollars too, because people won't find themselves in emergency rooms because they have heart conditions, obesity, and so forth, that they are engaged in doing important things, getting good physical exercise and so forth.
Good. All right. Well, we're about out of time. There's a lot more that we can learn, but all of that is going to be available on your website. And it's just been fascinating to learn more about how Madison House transforms communities for adults living with autism. I really want to thank you, JaLynn, for being here and sharing this information today.
Thank you for making the space available, and you do such important and wonderful work. Thank you for all.
Thank you. Yeah, for more information about how you can help Madison House, visit madisonhouseautism.org, and then make sure to join us next time on Studio 501c3, your window on nonprofits in Montgomery County. I'm Kim Jones. See you next time. This episode of Studio 501c3 was sponsored by MBA Growth Partners.